everyone, welcome to TryRide. This is Pack 265, myself Srija. So today in this session, you're going to learn about CPT coding guidelines for medicine. So this is a continuation of the previous session. So in medicine, CPT coding guidelines, contact lens services. So what are contact lens services? So these are not a part of general ophthalmological services. They are separate specialized services with their own rules. So contact lens prescription. So what it is? It includes specific optical and physical details such as power, size, base curve, flexibility, and gas permeability. So this is more detailed than a glasses prescription and therefore it is not included in the routine eye exams. So contact lens fitting. So what is included? So contact lens fitting includes selecting the appropriate lens, instruction and training on insertion, removal and cleaning and also care. So incidental revisions during the training period. So all of this is bundled into fitting services. So what are the follow-up visits after fitting? So follow-up of a successfully fitted extended wear lens is usually billed as general ophthalmological services. The code ranges are 92012 to 92014. So once fitting is successful, routine follow-ups are not separately billed as fitting. So supply of contact lenses. So contact lenses may be included in the fitting service or it may be billed separately using appropriate supply codes. So generally, what are the common mistakes? So billing contact lens fitting as a part of routine eye exam, billing follow-up visits as repeated fitting, and forgetting that lenses themselves may require supply codes. So cardiovascular monitoring services. So what are cardiovascular monitoring services? So these are diagnostic procedures that assess the heart rate rhythm using in-person devices, remote monitoring technology. So they are used to detect arrhythmias, palpitations, syncope, and unexplained dizziness. So what is Holter monitoring? So Holter monitoring code ranges are 93,224 to 227. So what it is, it's a continuous ECG reading just up to 48 hours. So patient wears a portable device here. So this Holter monitors, it is used for frequent symptoms, short-term rhythm assessment, and mobile cardiac telemetry monitors. So what makes MCT different? So mobile cardiac telemetry, it records the ECG continuously. It automatically detects the major arrhythmias. It can transmit data at any time. So it sends alerts to an attended monitoring center. It is often used when symptoms are intermittent. Real-time detection is needed. So next is event monitors. So what is an event monitor? So an event monitor, it records only short segments of ECG but not the continuous data. So how recording starts here? So recording is triggered by a patient activation, pressing a button when symptoms occur, and automatic detection algorithm or both. So data transmission where ECG data is stored here, transmitted later when it is requested. So it is not transmitted immediately at the time of the event. This is the key difference from mobile cardiac telemetry. And then surveillance requirement. So it requires attended surveillance. A monitoring center reviews events after transmission. So for example, patient with intermittent palpitations. So he wears monitor for 2 to 4 weeks and presses button when symptoms occur. So this event monitor is appropriate in these cases. And long-term continuous recorders. So the code ranges are 93,241 to 248. So what are these devices? So they continuously record and store ECG data for longer durations than Holter monitors. So what are the recording durations? Less than 48 hours up to 7 days and less than 7 days up to 15 days. And this fill the gap between Holter, which is less than or equal to 48 hours. They even monitors or telemetry. So for example, patient has dizziness once every few days. So in these cases, 24-hour Holter was very normal. And use long-term continuous recorder. So next is phrenic nerve stimulation system. So generally it has device integration and programming. So what are the subsequent device services? So after the initial activation, you have to follow the services may be performed to check the device function and find the tune therapy. So in this, the CPD codes explained are 93153, interrogation only. So it checks the device status, it reviews the stored data, no programming changes are made here. So 93152, 93151, these are for interrogation as well as programming. So they have evaluated the devices. It adjusts the settings to optimize the performance. So these services, they are used incrementally over time, but not on the day of the implantation. So programming during polysomnography, that is a sleep study. So if device programming is done during a polysomnogram, you have to report 93152 only once. So do not bill multiple times even if multiple setting changes occur. So you have to count the session but not the number of adjustments. And echocardiography. So what is echocardiography? It is an ultrasound examination of the heart and great vessels that includes image acquisition, interpretation, and written report. So Modify 26, which is a professional component. So you have to use Modify 26 when only interpretation and report are provided. Technical component is performed by another entity, and this is very commonly tested modifier. So code 93307, which is complete transthoracic echo, which is there is no Doppler involved here. So this is a comprehensive echo study that includes two-dimensional imaging, optional M code. It evaluates both left and right atria, left and right ventricles, aortic, mitral, and tricuspid walls, pericardium, and adjacent portions of the aorta. So it does not include spectral or color flow Doppler. So for example, patient with cardiomyopathy, full structural assessment is needed. So there is no Doppler ordered. So you have to code 93,307 code here. And coming to cardiac catheterization. So it's a diagnostic invasive procedure which is used generally to evaluate heart and vascular procedures. So what is included in cardiac catheterization? Catheter insertion into the vascular system, positioning and repositioning of the catheters, pressure recordings such as intracardiac, intravascular, final evaluation, interpretation, and report. So these steps, they are bundled into the catheterization service. So for example, patient with suspected coronary artery disease. So catheter is inserted to measure the cardiac pressures. So diagnostic cardiac catheterization is assigned here. So cardiac catheterization, code families. So what is the key concept here? There are two separate CPT code families for cardiac catheterization. So what are those? First one is congenital heart disease, CHD, and the second is all other conditions. So in congenital heart disease, it is used only when the patient has congenital heart defect. So the CPT code ranges for congenital heart defects are 93,593 to 598. So these codes, they are not interchangeable with standard catheterization codes. So these are located under medicine, cardiovascular, cardiac catheterization for congenital heart defects section. And coming to the second family, all other conditions. So generally, these are used for acquired heart diseases, CAD, cardiomyopathy, valve disease, etc. So these are found in the standard cardiac catheterization section. So you have to always confirm whether the condition is congenital or acquired before choosing the catheterization codes. So using the wrong family gives you the coding error. And electrocorticography. So what is ECOG? So it's a type of EEG. Electrodes are placed directly on or inside the brain. It provides very high resolution brain electrical activity. So it is commonly used in epilepsy surgery and brain tumor surgery. So what is the difference from routine EEG? In EEG, there are scalp electrodes. It is a non-invasive procedure and it requires lower resolution. Whereas ECOG, it has electrodes placed upon the brain surface. It's an invasive procedure and it requires higher resolution images. And CPT code 95829, it's an intraoperative ECOG. So generally this code description is used when brain is exposed during surgery and electrodes are placed temporarily here. And this includes recording, review and interpretation during the surgery. So 95829, it is only intraoperative. It cannot be billed for long-term or outpatient monitoring. So CPT code 95836 for chronic or implanted ECOG. So this is generally used when electrodes are chronically implanted on or in the brain. So recording is unattended, stored for later review. So the time rule is it may be reported only once per 30 days. So even if multiple records occur in 30 days, Bill 95836 only once. And next is EEG, routine electroencephalography. So CPT code range is 95,812 to 822. So these codes are for routine EEG studies which are not invasive. So what is included here? EEG recording, hyperventilation, and photic stimulation. Nothing but flashing lights. So these are generally included when it is clinically appropriate and not separately billable. And what are the recording time rules here? In routine EEG, there must be 20 to 40 minutes. CPT codes for 20 to 40 minutes are 95816 to 95822. Whereas for extended EEG codes, more than 40 minutes, the code ranges are 95812 and 95813. So 40 minutes is the cutoff. So less than or equal to 40 minutes, it is a routine EEG. If it is 40 minutes or more than 40 minutes, it is an extended EEG. Electromyography, EMG. So what is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that uses a needle electrode which is inserted into the muscle. So generally, what does it do? It measures the electrical activity of the muscles. So it produces a visual waveforms on the screen, audible sounds like a speaker output. So EMG, it helps to evaluate the muscle disorders, for example, myopathy, nerve disorders like radiculopathy, neuropathy, and neuromuscular junction diseases. So EMG tests muscle electrical activity, but not the nerve speed. So needle EMG. So what is the CPT coding rule for needle EMG? So coding always depends upon the number of muscles tested, whether the testing is done in one extremity or not, whether the nerve condition studies are done on the same day. So the muscles tested here are less than or equal to 4 muscles, that is one extremity. You have to use the code 95,870 or 885. So typically these are used for limited EMG studies. Whereas in the cases muscles tested are more than 5 or equal to 5 muscles, one extremity. So you have to use 95,860 to 864 or 886. So it represents a complete EMG study of an extremity. And EMG without nerve conduction studies. So you have to use the code series 95,860 to 864 and 95,867 to 870. So only when there is no nerve conduction studies or performed on the same day. So if NCS is performed on the same day, you have to use different EMG coding rules. So EMG plus nerve conduction studies are often done together, but they are coded separately. Coming to autonomic function test. So what is an autonomic nervous system? Which controls involuntary functions such as heart rate, blood pressure, sweating, and digestion. So this autonomic nervous system, it is divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So what is the purpose of autonomic testing? So autonomic function test, they are used to determine the presence of autonomic dysfunction, location, that is central versus peripheral systems, and which autonomic subsystems are affected. So they are generally used in conditions like diabetic autonomic neuropathy, syncope, Parkinson disease, and multiple system atrophy. Patient positioning and equipment. They play a role in coding autonomic function test. So what is the position of the patient? So testing is usually done in the prone position. So it may be used, it is not required for parasympathetic testing. So this autonomic function test, it only counts the muscles but not the nerves. So coding is done per extremity but not per the muscle. So EMG, it uses a needle electrodes. Autonomic testing evaluates the involuntary functions, and a tilt table which is optional but it is not mandatory for the autonomic function test. So autonomic test, it always assesses the involuntary nervous system function. And next, guidelines are regarded to health behavior assessment and intervention. So what are health behavior assessment and intervention services? So the services, they are used when a physical health problem is being affected by psychological factors, behavioral habits, emotional responses, cognitive issues, and interpersonal or family dynamics. So in these cases, the problem is medical, but the treatment focuses on the behavior and psychology that impact the medical condition. So examples like poor medication, adherence in diabetes, anxiety affecting the asthma control, chronic pain with maladaptive copying, and cardiac disease with lifestyle non-compliance. So what do these codes addresses? They help to identify the psychological and behavioral factors affecting a physical illness. So they address those factors to improve the medical outcomes. So the services, they generally use the psychological techniques, psychosocial interventions, and behavioral modification strategies. So these are not mental health psychotherapy codes. So they are used to improve the physical health outcomes. And what is health behavior assessment? So health behavior assessment, it evaluates how the patient is responding to illness or injury. So what is assessed here? Patient's understanding of the disease, emotional response to illness, coding strategies, motivation for treatment, adherence to medications or therapy, health related beliefs and behaviors. So how is it done? Health focused clinical interviews, observation of the behavior by clinical judgment and decision making. And there are no psychiatric diagnosis is required for health behavior assessment. What is health behavior intervention then? So what happens next? So health behavior intervention, it always focuses upon the changing behaviors that interfere with recovery or disease management. So what are the goals it include? It includes improving the functional ability, reducing the psychological barriers to recovery, enhancing the coping skills, improving the compliance with treatment, supporting the long-term disease management. And examples include teaching relaxation techniques for hypertension, coaching lifestyle changes in obesity, and pain coping strategies in chronic back pain. And patient and family involvement here. So these services, they strongly emphasize the active patient participation, family involvement when appropriate. So how can the services be delivered? Individually, by one patient, and group setting where two or more patients are involved here, and also family focused sessions with or without the patient present. Example, educating family members on how to support a patient with stroke recovery. So this is about health behavior assessment and intervention services. And next is hydration. So what do you mean by hydration? What are hydration codes here? So CPD code ranges 96,360 and 361. So these are generally used only for IV infusion of pre-packaged fluids with electrolytes. So what is the purpose here? Hydration, but not the treatment with drugs. So examples of the acceptable fluids are normal saline, D5 half normal saline, and fluids with the electrolytes, for example, KCl added. So these are not used for infusion of the medications, chemotherapy drugs, biologic agents. And what is the time requirement for hydration? So minimum time is 31 minutes. So 31 minutes of continuous infusion is required. So 96,360 code is for initial hydration infusion 31 to 60 minutes, whereas 96,361 code is assigned for each additional hour. So if infusion is 30 minutes or less, so do not build the hydration code. You should not assign this 96360 code. So 31 minutes is the magic number here. So when hydration code should not be used, so do not use 96360 and 96361 codes when IV fluids are given to keep an IV line open before or after a therapeutic infusion as a free-flowing IV during chemotherapy or other drug infusion. So hydration must be the primary reason for the IV infusion. And what is photodynamic therapy? So it's a non-surgical treatment which is used to destroy pre-malignant skin lesions. Using what? Using a photosensitizing drug followed by a light activation. So what are commonly used here? They are commonly used for actinic keratosis and superficial pre-malignant skin lesions. So CPD codes for photodynamic therapy 96573, 96574. So they are used when external light is applied after photosynthesizing. The agent is applied to destroy the pre-malignant lesions of the skin and adjacent mucosa like face, scalp, etc. And a single treatment session, it includes application of photosensitizer, treatment of all the lesions in the same anatomic area, optional debridement of the hyperkeratotic lesions, and also the light activation using appropriate source. So billing is per anatomic area here, but not per lesion. Coming to physical therapy evaluations. So what is a physical therapy evaluation? It is the initial assessment of the patient by a physician or a qualified physical therapist or a healthcare professional. So its purpose is to understand the patient's problem, to access the functional limitations, and to create a plan of care. So what are the required components of a PT evaluation? History, examination, clinical decision making, and development of plan of care. So in history, patient's medical history, presenting complaint, functional limitations, prior treatments, and social factors which are affecting the mobility or recovery. Coming to examination, like physical measurements, range of motion, strength testing, balance, gait, posture, pain assessment are evaluated under examination. Coming to clinical decision making, it includes professional judgment, complexity of the case, and selection of the appropriate interventions. And development of plan of care. It's a short and long-term goals. Type of therapy. It's a frequency and duration of the visits. So if any component is missing here, it is not a valid physical therapy evaluation. So what is physical therapy re-evaluation code? So CPT code 97164 is assigned for physical therapy re-evaluation. So when to report this code? When patient is already has an established plan of care, where there is a significant change occurs, such as new injury, change in the condition, failure to progress, and new clinical findings. So what it is not included here? It is not a routine progress note, not reported at every visit. So re-evaluation is nothing but it's a change in a status, but not just the time passing. Our next guideline is regarding SU puncture. So how SU puncture is reported? So SU puncture, it is coded based upon the time spent in personal face-to-face contact, but not based upon the number of needles and the duration of the needles remain in the body. Here, the time is the provider presence, but not the needle time. So what are the time rules for SU puncture? So generally, these are reported in 15-minute increments. The provider must be physically present with the patient. For example, for 15 minutes, it is 1 unit. For 30 minutes, it is 2 units. So if the provider leaves the room, that time does not count. So what are the general common coding mistakes with PT, physical therapy evaluation, and SU puncture? So in physical therapy evaluation, the common mistake is missing plan of care, using re-evaluation code without changing the condition. Next, coming to SU puncture, counting the needle retention time and billing by number of the needles and billing time when provider is not present. So physical therapy evaluations, they always assess the function and they create a plan of care. So the 4 required components must be documented. Whereas re-evaluation 97164, it requires a change in the original plan of care. So SU puncture without electrical stimulation. So if there is no electrical stimulation used during a 15-minute increment, you have to report 97,810 code for initial 15 minutes and 97,811 for each additional 15 minutes. So the key points here are it must be face-to-face time only, the provider must be present here, and the needle retention time does not. So SU puncture with electrical stimulation. So if any needle uses electrical stimulation during a 15-minute increment, you have to report 97,813 code for initial 15 minutes and 814 for each additional 15 minutes. So even if only one needle is electrically stimulated, you have to use electrical stimulation codes. So only one code per 15-minute increment is a reporting rule. You have to use either 97810 code or 97813 code for the first initial 15 minutes. And this is reported only once initial code per day. So you can't mix initial codes on the same day. And next is osteopathic manipulative treatment. So what is OMT? It is a manual hands-on treatment which is performed by physician and or a qualified healthcare professional. So why it is performed? It is used to treat the somatic dysfunction and any related musculoskeletal disorders. And somatic dysfunction is nothing but it's an impaired function of the muscles, joints, fascia or related structures. And what are the key features of OMT? It uses the multiple techniques like soft tissue, muscle energy, high velocity, low amplitude, myofascial release, and the goal is to restore the motion, to reduce the pain and to improve the function. So OMT treats body structure and function relationships. Coming to chiropractic manipulative treatment, CMT. So what it is, it's a form of manual therapy. So it is aimed at improving the joint motion, influencing the neuromuscular and neurophysiologic function. Generally, it focuses primarily on spine, joints, and nervous system interaction. So what is included in CMT codes? Pre-manipulation, patient assessment, and manual manipulation techniques. So these are separate billing for basic assessment is not allowed here. So CMT codes, they include the pre-manipulation exam. And extra E&M services, they may be billed only if E&M service is significant and separately identifiable, not just a part of routine CMT assessment. So examples of the EM codes here, office or outpatient 99,202 to 215 and subsequent hospital inpatient or observation care 99,231 to 233. So modified 25 is often required when billing E&M with CMT. So what is a moderate sedation? So moderate sedation, it's a drug-induced depression of consciousness in which patient responds purposefully to verbal commands or verbal commands plus light touch and airway is maintained naturally here. Cardiovascular function is stable and breathing is adequate without the assistance. So patient is sleepy here but is not unconscious. And what moderate sedation is not? This is very important for coding. So moderate sedation does not include the minimal sedation, paid medication only level, deep sedation levels, general anesthesia levels, monitored anesthesia care. So CPT anesthesia ranges are 00100 to 01999. These are for not moderate sedations. So what are the CPT codes for moderate sedation include? So 99,151 to 157. So these codes, they generally depends upon who performs the procedure, who provides the sedation, and what is the patient age, what is the time spent here. So these codes, they are time-based and intra-service only. And moderate sedation codes, they are not used for pain control alone, minimal sedation, deep sedation, and anesthesia services. So if anesthesia provider is involved, you are likely in anesthesia codes but not for the moderate sedation. And independent trainer observer. What is the concept here? Who is an independent trained observer? Is someone who is qualified to monitor the patient, has no other duties during the procedure and focuses only on the vital signs, airway and level of consciousness. So they cannot assist in the surgery or procedure. For example, like a dedicated nurse and trained healthcare professional. So why independent observer matters in coding? So this is required when the same physician performs a procedure and provides the moderate sedation. If provided does procedure plus sedation, the independent observer must be documented. And what are the documentation requirements for moderate sedation? So sedation start and stop time, drugs which are used in the surgery, patient monitoring details, presence of the independent observer, the level of the consciousness, and there is no airway intervention required. For example, colonoscopy with IV midazolam, the patient responds to verbal commands and breathing is independently. So this is the example of moderate sedation. And the other example is only local anesthesia, plus he has given oral anxiolytic. And this is the example of minimal sedation. So in these scenarios, you have to know the difference between moderate sedations, minimal sedations, and deep sedations like anesthesia. So these are the guidelines related to moderate sedation. And this is for today's session. I hope this session has helped you. So in the next session, you're going to learn about the CPT coding guidelines related to evaluation and management section. Thank you.